Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Okay, so you commit fraud with your son's bank account, you're blocked from said account, and then you call the bank saying that you need access to the account to help him with his taxes. Seems legit. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. What do you mean I can't access my son's bank information? I'm his mother. Alright, so Tish of background. I work in deposit services, and a lot of the escalated calls from tellers and customer care reps get routed to us when managers are busy. They're always busy. As a result, I get a lot of entitlement on the line, with everything from scammers refusing to hang up to millionaires being furious about standard fees, to people attempting to wiggle out of their loans with us. But as tax season rolls around, we're getting a lot of parents calling and asking for information on their kids' accounts. Most of the parents are just shooting their shot to try and help their kid, and that's fine. They normally take the standard, "We can't give out information if you're not on the account," and they call it good. However, you do get the bad ones, like EB that called her local branch and was so irate that she was passed on to us within 60 seconds of the phone being answered. I was given the blessing of handling this woman, and after the entire 30-minute ordeal, I took a 10-minute break to let myself breathe. Here's basically how it went. Me. Good afternoon. Thank you for choosing bank name. How can I help you? EB. Yes, I need to get the balance and get the statements for my son's account. Me. All right, I can help you with this. What's the account number? EB gives the number, and I look it up. Turns out there's notes on the account that say, in big bold letters, not to allow access to the mother as she's committed fraud using her son's info before. Even if I wanted to help her, I couldn't. Me. I'm sorry, ma'am. At this time, I'm unable to help you with this. I have to recommend that you go to your branch with a photo ID and they'll be able to assist you from here. EB effing explodes at this point. Her yelling gets so bad I have to turn my volume down so I don't disturb anyone else. EB. My son needs his information. I'm just calling to get it for him. This bank is stupid. Give me the information right now, or I'm pulling all my money out and going to a different bank. This is ridiculous. I'm going to call the Better Business Bureau and tell them that you won't let me access my funds. Those skanks at branch name won't help me. The manager's a lazy N-word who won't do anything for me. Now, for folks who don't know, this is referred to as social engineering. It's an attempt to get the person at the end of the line so frazzled that they yield. But not this time, B. I tell her that she'll have to refrain from the harsh language or I'll disconnect the call, and it just gets worse. She starts calling me lazy and stupid, and the crowning one I got was, "I can tell by your voice that you're one of those skank N-words too," which was the weirdest thing I've heard in a minute. I gave her another warning, and she talked over me. EB. I'm helping my son with his taxes. Without me, he'll be audited by the IRS. Will you take responsibility if he's fined millions? I'll take you and your crappy bank to court for... I hung up, as I was allowed to. 2 warnings, termination, bye. I talked to my manager, and she had me call IT. We managed to block her number from calling anymore. So a win in the long run, but I spent 30 minutes being screamed at, so not a win in the short term. And our second story. Everything? Okay, everything. I work as a valet at a hotel and casino. In addition to parking cars, our department also helps load up luggage for people when they check in. Usually, it's quite the streamlined and efficient process. People tell me what bags they want sent to the room, I load their bags and send them up. Occasionally, a guest wants to speed that process up, so they'll tell me to load everything and walk away without another word. It's not usually a big deal because I can guess that they probably want their suitcases and don't have any need for their jumper cables or snow chains. About a week ago, this man in his 50s comes in, and I go to greet him. When I ask him if he wants help with bags, he tells me he wants me to load everything and brushes by to check in. So I take a look at his vehicle, and there are items strewn all over the vehicle. He has a variety of suitcases, duffel bags, and trash bags loaded in the back. I load what I think is going onto a luggage cart and wait for him to come back. When he does get back, he tells me that about half the stuff on the cart needs to go back into his car and adds a few items of his own. Clearly, his version of everything differs from my version of everything quite a bit. When he was satisfied, I send the cart up to his room without so much as a thank you. Whatever, it's the service industry. Some people suck. I assume that's how the story ends, but much to my surprise, I see him pull up again today. He gets out of the car and gives me the same instructions. I don't think he remembers me, but this time I insist that he stay and tell me what items he wants brought to the room. Again, he simply says everything. This time, I don't want to assume anything. I load up everything in his vehicle that isn't nailed down. The bags, the suitcases, the snow chains, the jack for his spare tire. I would have loaded the spare tire too if it was back there. By the end, I had a mountain of this guy's stuff loaded on this cart ready to go to his room. He came back and wasn't too happy with what I'd chosen to load up. I told him I thought this was everything. In the end, I had to unload it, and I'm sure I'll get some kind of complaint. But I just wanted to make sure he had a better grasp on the definition of everything. That's hilarious. I wonder if he learned any kind of lesson from that. Probably not. And our next story. Try to get me in trouble with the stewardess for not turning off my phone? Then wait. On a flight recently back from a business trip, crazy tired after a day of meetings and presentations, airline I'm on allows you to keep phones and tablets on in flight mode during takeoff and landing. Cabin crew explicitly makes a loudspeaker announcement explaining this twice. Playing brain-numbing games during landing to keep awake. Hear the pointy, officious old German harridan, Karen, in window seat across the aisle from me, yeah, you know the type, pointy, call over the stewardess and ask, does he need a special invitation to turn off his electronic device? Stewardess patiently explains to Karen that no, this is allowed. Karen makes an audible humph and then glares at me. Karen doesn't care about safety, she just wants to get someone in trouble. Me? Ha! I have an aisle seat. Airplane is half empty, nobody in row behind me except for a guy in window seat next to me. As seatbelt light goes off, I stand up immediately, grab my bag, block Karen's row, and let window seat guy out in front of me. Karen shuffles over to aisle seat, desperately wants out. I stand my ground. Courteously, I allow people in rows in front of me to grab their bags and block the aisle, waiting to disembark. Grab the top of the seat right in front of Karen, my bag poking into the seat where she just moved to, stand my ground. Karen huffing and puffing, audibly vibrating with anxiety to get out of her row. Nothing wrong with her, she's just impatient. Help the nice woman in front of me get her bag down. Karen nearly having a heart attack. Stop to tie my shoe. Walk off the plane, pause, smile, and wish the stewardess a nice evening, thank you. Walk at a relaxed pace up the gangway, walk at a relaxed pace down the escalator, walk at a relaxed pace down the single-person exit. Karen is voluminous. Her cardigan kaftan and angry aura even more so. Huff, puff, huff, puff. Sorry, lady, but my mom taught me never to rush because rushing leads to mistakes. We wouldn't want mistakes in air travel, would we? Airplane seats are awful. Forcing someone to wait in them even longer is hell. This was torture. Way to go, OP. And our last story. I removed my neighbor's illegally built fence. This happened a few months ago. Backstory. I, 22-year-old female, live with my husband in a tiny summer house and cottage settlement in a very nice suburb of a big city. This becomes to be quite common thing in my country because housing is insanely expensive, so this is debt-free alternative. Next to the settlement of tiny houses and cottages, there is a field, and a narrow strip of this field separates the cottages from big family houses. The owner of the field lives in one of those houses, and for decades, he wants the city to change the type of the land and zoning plan because he wants to build houses on that field, which he would make a ton of money off. That field's right next to the forest, and the city doesn't want to let him build this urban greenery up, plus it would cut us cottagers because there are footpaths to the cottages along the edge of the fields, so as a result, he's well known for doing petty stuff to the cottagers. For example, he digs the pathways when he plows the soil, etc. His last piece was to build an illegal mesh fence just to fence a little strip of his field directly adjacent to his house, and to block the pathway through the field, which means from cottages to the nearest road. There is a law about free passage through the countryside in our country, which means you can't fence your field unless you get a permission. For example, you can't fence it if you want to create a pasture there. That wasn't the case, even though he claimed 3 months later, still no goats there. We know he built it illegally because it was discussed in our district's Facebook page and our mayor confirmed that she's trying to make him remove the fence. But the authorities are extremely slow here in such cases, and meanwhile, the cottagers, including our elderly neighbors, have to go 10+ minutes longer walk to get to their houses. We tried to agree on a solution with him. I offered to pay him for the extra mesh fence he would need so he would leave out the pathway, which was also used as a way to the forest from the fenced area. He basically laughed at me, saying I can't do anything about that and that he isn't doing anything illegal. He is, it'll just take a really long time until authorities will make him put the fence down. So, the a-hole part. We decided to cut this man's illegal fence to make a passage as it was before, so we can walk our dog there and our elderly neighbors can get to the road. We weren't the only one. We planned on doing it when we came there. We found out it's already cut. He repaired it though, so we cut it, and then again someone else. Then he stopped trying, so the passage is there. He can't report it because it would point out that he built a legal fence, but he's now calling us cottagers communists who are trying to steal his property, etc. Edit. There is no easement because in my country there is this kind of easement at all fields, forest, meadow properties. This is reflected in price and tax, which is both many times lower for these properties. By fencing the field, he's using the land in an unauthorized manner. In the municipal zoning plan, this field is listed as an area for recreation. His obligation to allow passage isn't explicitly listed in some kind of easement because he has this obligation to the public as a whole. Condition of owning this type of land is to let people walk on it and grow agricultural crops. That's why it's currently quite cheap, and it would be 20 times more expensive if it was the type of land where you can build houses, and so of course fence it off. And that's of course what he wants because he would make incredible money out of it. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.